Alright, so do you want to just tell me your name?
Brian Gosselin.
Okay. And we have your permission to film and everything, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, good. How long have you lived up here?
Oh, I've been in this neck of the woods 54 years. I used to be a police officer. Now I'm a retired police officer now, but now I work in an apple orchard, cut wood, anything to make a buck.
Were you raised with any religious backgrounds or anything like that?
Yes, I'm a Catholic, but I turned Baptist, and I'm a true believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, believe you me.
Okay. Okay. Now, you've had some experiences out here, which we're going to talk about in a little while. Did that conflict with you at first in any ways?
I don't know what you mean by conflict. Did it screw me up totally and royally? Yes, it did.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was looking at something and seeing something that don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We're not very far from the site now, probably roughly a mile. Now, when we get to this corner, I want to point out where the state trooper was that night. I was out here off duty.
Uh-huh.
Tuesday was my only time off, and my encounter was early Wednesday morning, so it would be the 25th.
Were you on your own in the car?
Yes, I was on my own, and the state trooper that was here, his first name was Jim, that's all I can say, and he was on duty as a state trooper. But the night prior to that, I couldn't leave the village because back then we couldn't leave the village.
Right.
So I called my father, who was a sergeant with the Whitehall PD. He had just got off duty.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the Sheriff's Department and state troopers.
Okay.
And they all come out, and there were 2 state troopers, 2 sheriffs, my father. We're all out here, and they all saw the same thing. This is the original encounter. That would have been the 24th.
Uh-huh. What year was that in?
1976.
1976. So it was around this time of year, maybe
right
a little
here,
later.
This house wasn't here.
Okay.
This is where the state trooper, this was a farmer's field that they kept plowed and everything. And hey, the state trooper was sitting roughly where that white bucket is right there on top of that well thing. That's where the state trooper was sitting watching this hedgerow.
Okay.
He was on this side.
Was there, you said this was a field, was it planted?
At that time it was just for the hay.
Okay. From there.
This is the time of the year when there's all kinds of creature noises at night. Katydids, crickets, you name it. It was dead silent. The moon, I can't remember, was close to being full. And me and Jim, we were on CB radio. We went to some channel 4 or something like that, so we didn't have all that hubbub. And we're talking back and forth. Now we had sat out here. I'm sat out here. I had taken the dome light right out of the bulb out of my dome light, so I could keep my door open, so there was no light at all, you know. And you could see roughly 50, 60, 70 yards out there, halfway decent. And we're talking back and forth. Next thing I know, I hear Jim. Jesus Christ! Excuse my mouth. Jesus Christ! What the is that? What the? I said, what? What are you, Jim? What? I'm getting the fuck out of here. That's what he said. And all I remember seeing was the state trooper car go right down here. All I could hear up on that hedgerow. Of course, this house wasn't here. Like I said, this house over here wasn't here. All I could hear was branches breaking and weird noises. Like I said, sticks, branches, and then everything was dead silent. By then, I've got goosebumps the size of watermelons on my arms and stuff, saying, what the hell's going on? And like I said, the grass was up to here, and all I could hear was this whooshing noise. And the way I explained it was like a heavy person wearing corduroy pants, walking, with their thighs rubbing together. Whoosh, whoosh. That's all I could hear. And I've got my spotlight in my right hand. I got my handgun out. I've got my door open. And it stopped, and start, and stop, and start. And then all of a sudden it's getting louder. Now this took roughly 15 to 20 minutes. And something just told me, turn your spotlight on. Roughly 30 feet off to my right, in front of my car, this thing is standing there.
So can you point to that, where you think that would have been?
It would be in this little swampy area right here, but closer to the edge where it's cut.
So we've got the ridge going down here.
Yeah, I was just over this ridge with my car, and my car was headed that way.
Okay.
And you got to realize this has gotten wider over the years, so on and so forth. It was 99% hay, like I said. The grass was up to here on me. I get goosebumps again every time I go through this. Because anyway,
What did it?
all I can tell you is what I saw was a creature that was 7 to 8 foot tall. And what impressed me the most when I hit it with the spotlight was red eyes. What I always said, it was about the size of mayonnaise jar covers, round like that. It just brought what it looked to me like hands up like this and let out one hell of a deep from the gut. I figured male because of it'd be like me trying to make a noise like that. Only has crank the volume on that, because you can't possibly do it as long as you can't get enough air in your lungs to make the noise for the longevity that it did. It was like this, and then it turned to its left. And when its arms come down, I noticed the arms, like my hands are here. I'm a little over 6 foot. Hands were down here, the ends of the hands. It had a neck, like I said, they asked about neck. I don't remember a neck. It was like a head on top of shoulders. And when its arms were up, it had hair, it hung down, I dare say 8, 10, 12 inches. And it was like an orangutan. You know, like an orangutan with picks up, that hair that hangs down, same thing.
What did the face look like?
I can't tell you on the face. All I can tell you is when I hit it with a spotlight was the hands come up and the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was human-like.
Okay.
Dark colored hair. Like, to me, I have to say it would be a dark red, almost black.
Mm-hmm.
And when it turned to go away, I can still see it. It's like the hair is coming in this way, and you could see clay, like leaves, twigs, like it had been nesting, laying something, because this area, just over top of them trees right here at the end of this field, goes right down to the Pony River. It's thick, heavy clay. I started going across the field. That was on one of these, but this thing was covering 5, 6 foot. We'd have to run to keep up with it.
Fast walk.
Fast walk, like a horse who can gallop or run, same thing. It went into that corner right down there, and I'll bet it didn't take it less than a minute to get there. And when it got down there, and I'm sitting here scratching my head, because I've seen something, I've experienced something that don't exist, and I've been asked why I didn't shoot, because it'd be like him putting on a suit and coming up. You still got that in your, when they say your life flashing before your eyes, believe you me, my childhood, things that happened in my young adulthood, everything's just that quick. And I wanted to shoot, but I couldn't shoot. Did I feel hostility? No, because from where that trooper was parked, which is what, 200 plus yards up there, to here, he could have went any place in between. It was like it was coming out to find out, what am I doing here? In the same instance, from the night before, this thing had come out of here and gone that direction. It was going the same way again. And anyway, when I got down to the end of that field, all I can remember is it turning around, because I got the spotlight and I watched it all the way. And it did one of these, "Arr! Arr! Arr!" And then you go across all these meadows to the mountain that's right by my house. A friend of mine, real good friend of mine, and his son said they won't hunt there anymore. He said they had an experience up there, and the next day, they said all they remember is seeing a creature that was 7.5 to 8 foot tall, 400 plus pounds, cross the road in front of them and go across the field like hell bent for leather. But we've had people here that live in this neck of the woods, older people, that have come forward and said things they've seen over the years because they didn't want to be considered crazy. That's why I kept my mouth shut for so long, and the point being is if they'd have put half the work into it in 1976 as they do now, we'd have had something long before now, besides just stories. We've got a great big map of all the locations with certain dots for certain things, and that we keep track of all this stuff. But we are out to prove and or disprove.